I mean, you do speak a lot of the Singlish. So I do incorporate that a little bit then too. You say la, can, cannot. I do find that's a bit, if it, give it a shot, come to Singapore. It's a great place, great city, great people.
欢迎大家来到频道。今天呢，我的嘉宾呢有点不太一样，就是 Dr. Jeff。Hello,
how's it going?
大家也许不知道 Dr. Jeff， 其实我是我的先生，同时呢和我一样都是一位脊椎矫正医生。因为他很明显不会讲中文，但是没有关系，小编会把英文的字幕会放在下面了。观众朋友们不用担心，你是一定会看懂我们这个视频的，好吧？好，我们就不要浪费时间，我们就现在开始 ，Let's go.
Let's go. I'm such a big fan. Now I can finally be on there. Thank you.
Yeah. So after 50 plus guests, and finally you're here.
Hi, here I am.
Yeah, special guest. Okay. So since my channel is mainly about foreigners share the experience in Singapore, obviously you are a foreigner and you are an entrepreneur, you are a professional, you are a chiropractor, and you're also a father. So the first question I want to ask you, because Singapore is not your first country out of the United States. So what was your first impression when you first arrived in Singapore?
Well, when I first left the United States, I actually went to Peru first. So that was kind of like my first exposure to just being abroad, working outside my comfort zone, so to speak.
Yeah.
And then from there, I went to Hong Kong. The thing is that when I went from Hong Kong to Singapore, Hong Kong kind of bridged that gap moving into Singapore, and that I was able to adjust a bit better coming into Singapore than I would if I had just come straight from the United States. Essentially, Hong Kong was more cramped, more stressful. So technically speaking, when I first came here, I was kind of used to it, and it's a bit of a breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
Like, you know, going from that environment to this environment was actually a bit more of a positive. So I was able for me to actually adapt to everything that's going on.
Yeah. So you haven't been to Peru, you have been to Hong Kong. Obviously, you spent majority of time in the United States. Culture-wise, what are the differences between America and Singapore?
When we went to Peru, it was Spanish or Quechua in some areas, or if you go to Hong Kong, it's Cantonese, so you have to learn that too, so there's always that gap. Then now when you come here into Singapore, you actually can speak English, you can relate to people a bit more, you can find out more about interests that they do, hobbies they do. So, you know, when coming from the United States, that was the first barrier. That was helped me to actually get over the hump, so to speak. And then the biggest adjustment, again, not having a car, the weather, everything, living well. I guess I was kind of used to living in an apartment because I'd gone through college, I was doing all that, so that wasn't that big of a deal. But I guess from that standpoint, in America you have a bit more independence and freedom. Here there's not so much, but here things are a lot more efficient.
What do you mean by efficiencies? Is it the government agency, or what's the efficiency you feel the difference?
Just with everything, if you have to deal with, like, say, the transportation is efficient. How you conduct, like, say, if you have to pay bills, if you have to do business meetings with other companies and whatnot, it's a lot efficient. Things want to get done. I think Singapore wants to get the stuff done, boom, 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 because they're all about getting the deal done, so to speak. So it's good to actually have that. Whereas, if I've been to a third world country, I'll get to it whenever, it might not get done.
I mean, that's probably the biggest culture shift compared to Peru when it comes to your appointments, right?
Yeah.
What's the difference with regard to patient appointments in Peru and patient appointments in Singapore?
Again, it's all about timing and efficiency.
Yeah.
Singapore has that. Peru, they do have that, but again, Peru, different mindsets when you walk into there. And because it is a third world country, you're going to actually have different people that approach you. But again, Singapore is always about efficiency, getting things done. I got to get it done. Let's do it.
How long does it take for you to open a bank account in Peru?
I had them do it.
It was like
the one nice thing about Peru is that they paid you weekly and it was in cash too.
Yeah. Because the bank account is
but I remember I was only making about $3,000 USD a month, but that can go a long ways there.
Yeah. But this is like 10, 13, 14 years ago, 3,000 USD.
Now it's different.
Yeah.
But at the time, yes. At the time, you got paid right away, and then you go ahead and you utilize that, and you didn't really need to spend the money. But
that's an interesting thing, right? Like most of the places, they usually is a monthly, right? In Peru is a weekly
and
salary.
They're going all over your stats. Like, okay, this is how many patients you saw. Then they go ahead, here's the cash, boom, boom, boom. And they give it to you. And then you go to the bank. and it makes sure you don't get robbed. Like you don't want to be flashing that stuff around, you know.
Put in a plastic bag. Like you've been in Singapore for how many years?
13 years now.
13 years. Is there any Singapore local phrase or small things you have picked up along the way that integrate itself into your daily usage?
I mean, you do speak a lot of the Singlish. So I do incorporate that a little bit then too. You say la, can, cannot. I do find that's a bit efficient. Again, going back to that rather than say yes, I can do it, it's like can, cannot.
So yeah. I have a assumption. The reason they say cannot, can't, is because it's very hard to distinguish the sound.
Yeah,
Can, can't.
To be honest with you, it's the same thing if you're in America. Sometimes I'll have to repeat and say, did you say can or cannot or can't? So you have to
or can't.
Can or can't.
Yeah.
And so sometimes they'll slur it together. Even I'm guilty of it too. And so you have to have them repeat it. Like, let me get this straight. You don't want it, or you do not want it, or you do want it. You know, same thing.
Yeah.
So again, efficiency, getting that out there. It gets straight to the point.
Okay. So obviously you're also a father. We have almost an 8-year-old. What is it like raising a child in Singapore?
Like raising any kid anywhere, it has ups and downs.
Yeah.
There are some nice things that are here. You do have so many parks, so many playgrounds that you can spend time with your kid there. The education here is pretty good for the most part. With anything, there's pros and cons with it. You know, with international schools, they more expensive, but they tend to have an emphasis on thinking outside the box. With Singapore, they actually do a strong focus on, you know, the basic studies, but it's very strict, and you have to do this. And sometimes it doesn't really open up the world for creativity and whatnot. And so sometimes it's always, how can you encourage that with your child if they go to public school here? What can you do to actually, you know, emphasize that part? So you have to do some more art classes, do some dance classes, stuff like that, and help them think outside the box. The school here are great. It's just that you have to kind of maneuver yourself around with it then too.
So one thing we did notice is for our daughter, it's quite common for her to see someone who wear a hijab. If compared to her cousin or family member in the United States, it's very rare to see someone who wear a hijab. Yeah.
And that's the nice thing too, is that she's exposed to so many cultures here.
Yeah.
And that it's not going to freak her out if she sees it, if she goes anywhere else. She's been traveling around many places here in Southeast Asia and China then too, that just meeting different people, different cultures, that she's unfazed by it. And she can go about her daily business and not have to think about that or be worried.
Like why this person's so different?
Yeah, why is this person so different? And she understands it.
Yeah.
That's one nice thing again about Singapore, is that she's already exposed to this, so it's no big deal. And sometimes she even looks forward to this if the school celebrates, you know,
different
holidays,
religious holidays,
like Deepavali or something like that. Then they'll have something to celebrate it, so she better understands what's going on.
Yeah. What is your favorite Singaporean dish?
Sauté.
Really?
Yeah, sauté.
Okay.
I say sauté. And there's a few other dishes that I enjoy too. I do like chicken and rice that they have there too. I wish there was a little bit more meat and a little bit more vegetables, but it is what it is.
You can always pick.
I do like their breakfast, like kaya toast, and how they serve the eggs. Usually they just put in there and they just make it like a soup. And kopi C.
Kopi C, right? What was your first reaction when you saw the egg is not hard boiled?
I thought that was actually kind of good.
You didn't be like,
unique, yeah.
Can you cook it again? This is not.
No, because I know some people are like, oh, is it not cooked? Am I going to get sick from it?
Yeah.
Like, no, it's actually just kind of unique. I'll give it a try.
Yeah.
I'll give it a try and see how it tastes. And I actually enjoyed it. Just mix some sauce in it, but so it's good.
So, Dr. Jeff's favorite Singapore breakfast is kaya toast plus 2 poached eggs
and kopi C, something like that. Yeah. Sometimes if you're doing competition, kopi O, you know, you try to cut down the added sugar there too.
So, actually, how did you end up to be a chiropractor?
Well, I initially went to school for environmental science, my undergrad, and that was back in my home state, if you will. And then I believe my senior year, I threw my back out while doing squats. Apparently, I was doing poor technique with it, and so when that happened, I was in a lot of back pain, and I didn't really do much with it. And my parents wanted me to go see a GP. and that was not going to be the case, because again, if they would just probably just give me some pills, some exercise in that case. And then a friend came to me and said, hey, why don't you try a chiropractor? I didn't really think about it, didn't know anything about it. My parents were kind of against it because they didn't know anything about it. In fact, they call them chiropractors. Because it's just, it has nothing to do with what they do. It's just basically how you pronounce it. Acquire is what you see at a church, and they just didn't know how to pronounce chiro as opposed to choir. So, but anyways, I went anyways, and within 2 weeks, my back got better, was a lot better. And I didn't know about this, and I always was kind of into health because I was always working out and doing some sort of was getting more into sports. And the thing is, the college I went to didn't have a program that was tailored towards sports science and whatnot. But in any case, I did take a lot of biology courses over the course of time, and the chiropractor said, hey, why don't you go ahead and try chiropractic, or try going to chiropractic and see how that does for you too, because chiropractic does focus on the overall body as a whole, healing from within pretty much. So why don't you go ahead and try it and go ahead and see how that comes to be. And so over the years, then I got more into doing health, doing chiropractic, everything above that then too as well.
So you have been working in the United States, South America, Hong Kong, here in Singapore. Obviously, you have quite diverse background of patients. In regarding patients, any cultural differences?
When you come here to Peru and Hong Kong, everything is desk bound. So you have a lot of issues when it comes to like the neck, the shoulders, because they're at the desk 8 to 10 hours a day. When I was working in Peru, because Peru is a bit more, physical labor with what's going on. So you had a lot of people that had, shoulder issues, knee issues, feet issues. I had people that came because it's in the mountains, and so you had people that would come at least a good 12 hours because they heard about what you do, and chiropractic wasn't well known where they're from, but they would spend a good week or so trying to get to you, and they would come there with hopes that you could be their only hope to solve this problem. So it's kind of nice to kind of see that too, and have that feeling that you can make a difference in people's lives. And then I guess, like I said, when you come here, because people are more desk bound, you're gonna have more issues as relates to it then too. So posture related, neck, back, all that stuff then too. So it's a bit different of how people approach it then.
Yeah. But clearly you are definitely not a local by the look of it. But how do you connect with your patient to remove the communication or trust barrier?
You just simply talking to them. Back home, we have a little bit of a small talk. It's like a Midwestern thing. And so how's the weather, that kind of thing. But essentially, you just try to establish rapport with them. When they come in, you try talking a little bit. Not everyone wants to talk, that's understandable. But then you try to relate to them a little bit with what's going on, and have a little bit of conversation. And even with their problems, how that can relate to everyday life activities. And so you incorporate everything that they're going through, trying that whole communication with working with them.
So what do you think chiropractic as a profession? Do you find it rewarding? Would you recommend people to do it?
I do find it rewarding. I don't know if I'd recommend people to do it. Mainly because it's not well established. And so you have to go up against many odds and many obstacles to get it done. You can't just go ahead and go into a hospital and then see patients and get a paycheck. It's not really accepted. So you're going to have an uphill battle when it comes to that. Now, I know other professions have other uphill battles. So it's just that if you go to school, depending on where you go to school, you get in a lot of debt, and you're not necessarily guaranteed to actually be successful in it. So I don't know if I necessarily would recommend it doing that unless you're very passionate about it. Then by all means, go ahead. But it is rewarding. I do see a lot of patients that come in, they get a lot of results, and that's great to hear and great to see. So there is that aspect of it too. But again, running a business, marketing, that's stuff that they don't tell you at school. You learn on a whim, pretty much.
Pretty much. So what about for anyone who is out there, maybe they thinking about coming to Singapore or starting a job here, what would you recommend them? What would be your insight for that?
Give it a shot. Come to Singapore. It's a great place, great city, great people. There's always challenges if you get up and move and come to Singapore or go to a different country. You have to learn the culture, respect the culture that you're in, and make sure everything is great. But it's definitely an adventure. And if you're young, nothing holding you down, give it a shot. Come here and see what Singapore has to offer then.
Okay. All right. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you for finally having me.
After
for
50
so long,
plus.
I was looking at, when's it going to be my turn? When? And she came to me and was like,
because we really need a guest. Like, that's why we're gonna talk. We know your guys are looking forward to the weekly update. The weekly
Are they?
I do.
Are they?
Okay. If you like see both of us in the video in the future,
Maybe not just a Q&A, maybe
maybe
more,
just something else. Maybe can go explore something
or
together.
Singapore reactions to it. Dr. Jeff tries durian.
Yeah.
No.
Are you a fan of durian?
No. One time I did try durian McFlurry. I just had to try it. I was walking right by. I was like, oh, I have to try it. It's okay.
Not the best.
Not the best. There's better ones.
It's a love.
I'm not gonna.
And no flavor.
It's not. I've tried durian as it is. I've tried other meals and whatnot, and no, the smell, the taste, everything. It's just like everybody else, just like everyone from the Western world. They're not going to be very keen on it then.
Exactly. And if you'd like to see more of us, please comment below. And we're also just trying to bring you guys different content, and hopefully you guys will enjoy that. If you have any questions for Dr. Jeff, you can also comment below. And we do have a channel, which is a Hope for a Clinic. That one is 100% managed by...
Is it? It's by YouTube.
Okay, 2% by me, 98% by Jeff.
Mostly it's just like adjusting tips, pointers and whatnot. So if you like the ASMR sound type, we do with the popping, cracking, so you see that. And so I know that there are people that like it, so we throw it out there and just go ahead. And also too, people can see how we adjust, so there's no mystery behind what goes on. I've had patients that go to a supposed chiro and they do something completely different.
Yeah.
They didn't even do any sort of adjustment. And so this kind of shows you what we do and what you can expect with it.
So if you want, you can go ahead and check that link. Check that channel. It's right here. All right. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And thank you for having me.
If you like what you see, making sure you subscribe and share and like and comment below and tell us what you think. And with that, thank you for your time, Dr. Jeff.
Thank you. Thank you for having me finally.
Well, we'll see you next time.